You're watching ABC7 News at 7.
They are an organization that has millions of members, and their members expect them to advocate for laws that are in support of and pro-Second Amendment.
It's been 2 weeks since Parkland. People are asking lawmakers for a change on gun control, but what if the NRA helped get them elected? Good evening, everyone. I'm Alan Cohen, and welcome to ABC7 at 7. We'll have more on NRA money in a moment, but first, our top 7 stories at 7. And we begin tonight with the first day back at school for students at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland. In exactly 2 weeks since a former student opened fire on school grounds, killing 17 and wounding at least 15 others. ABC's Maggie Rulli is in Parkland at the school.
Class is now back in session at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School.
It was a relief to be back.
But even as they try to move forward,
we would like to move on with our normal lives. Today was a weird, strange, emotional day.
Students here know everything is now different.
In my Spanish class especially, because one of our students didn't show up today because he was one of the 17.
Grief counselors and therapy dogs were on campus.
I love the dogs so much.
I'm sure that
helped a lot.
Helping students find a new normal after 2 weeks that have been anything but. Students turning their anger into action, pressuring lawmakers and companies to make changes. This morning, Dick's Sporting Goods announced it will no longer sell assault-style rifles, and it will not sell firearms to anyone under the age of 21.
If the kids can be brave enough to organize like this, we can be brave enough to take these out of here.
Governor Rick Scott wants to harden schools with more police and bulletproof glass. And at an open meeting on school safety, President Trump called for more trained professionals to carry guns.
You can't just be sitting ducks, and that's exactly what we've allowed people in these buildings and schools to be.
Even though class was optional, the superintendent says 95% of students came back to school today, calling it a healing family reunion. School will continue here on a modified schedule through the end of the week. Maggie Rulli, ABC News, Parkland, Florida.
Students at Manatee School for the Arts participated in a walkout to urge Congress and state lawmakers to prevent further school shootings like the one in Parkland. The walkout took place on Haben Boulevard in front of the school. The event's organizer said the RSVP list was just over 300 people, but what seemed to be almost 1,000 people showed up. Students say they are demanding changes from Congressman Vern Buchanan, including a ban on assault weapons and high-capacity magazines and an expansion of background checks to all gun sales and more.
We shouldn't have to be afraid to go to school. We shouldn't have to be afraid for the lives of our friends and family at school. It is a place to learn, love, and make memories. It is not a place for a gun or any other harmful weapon.
Students say they are demanding changes from Congressman Vern Buchanan, including a ban on assault weapons and high-capacity magazines, an expansion of background checks and gun sales, and more. The Sarasota County School District is working with students and administrators to plan an observance in accordance with walkout events taking place nationwide on March 14th. This is to remember those who lost their lives in Parkland and around the country due to gun violence. The observance will be at 10 a.m. for 17 minutes at the Sarasota County schools. Governor Rick Scott talking school security this morning in Tampa at the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office. The governor is proposing $500 million in security and mental health measures and wants the state legislature to pass his plan before the end of the session next week.
No ifs, ands, or buts about it. We need more law enforcement presence at our public schools. We're going to make investments in school safety, metal detectors, bulletproof glass, steel doors, upgraded locks. We're going to have anonymous See Something, Say Something statewide dedicated hotline, website, and mobile app.
Florida Attorney General Pam Bondi also spoke out in support of the governor's plan, saying if parents see something concerning on their kids' social media accounts, they're encouraged to contact law enforcement immediately. A building at the University of Central Florida in Orlando was evacuated after campus police say someone wearing a LeBron James Miami Heat basketball jersey stood up in the classroom and threw powder in the air. University police say the business administration building was evacuated out of an abundance of caution. James, who now plays for the Cleveland Cavaliers, sometimes tosses chalk in the air in a pregame ritual. A 7,000-year-old burial ground has been located off of Minnesota Key. This find is likely to gain national attention because of it's the one and only kind to be found in North or South America. Last year, a diver found human remains. He contacted the Florida Department of State, which investigated and found the underwater site had at one point been a freshwater pond. The remains stayed preserved, wrapped in a fabric.
To have it be located on the bottom of the Gulf of Mexico in an unprotected offshore marine environment, that's what's really remarkable.
Researchers believe at the time of burial more than 7,000 years ago, the Gulf of Mexico was far from where it is now. The site is protected, meaning it is illegal to disturb a site that has human remains. The Florida House of Representatives is expected to approve a measure allowing law enforcement officers to pull over people for texting while driving. However, the bill appears stalled in the state Senate. The House proposal, which was positioned for a vote, would make texting while driving a primary traffic offense, allowing officers to pull over motorists for texting. It is currently a secondary offense, which means police can only write tickets for texting while driving when they stop motorists for other reasons like speeding.
The texting and driving doesn't discriminate. Everyone does it. 92% of Floridians do it. That's what we want to change.
This particular a bill that you're running, giving officers another reason to pull folks over, regardless of whether they actually committed a current traffic infraction.
In the Senate, the bill has yet to be heard by the Appropriations Committee, where the chairman has indicated that he does not plan to take the bill up to session for privacy concerns for those who are being pulled over. A perfect day for baseball and ABC7 day at Sarasota's Ed Smith Stadium. Our very own Stephanie Roberts performed the national anthem before the game, and good morning Suncoast anchor Ray Collins threw the first pitch. The Orioles took on the St. Louis Cardinals today before a big crowd. Tomorrow the Orioles will play the Tampa Bay Rays at Port Charlotte at 1:05, and tomorrow night on ABC7 at 7 we will talk to the owner of the Orioles, John Angelos, manager Buck Showalter, and former player Brian Roberts. Now let's head over to ABC7's chief meteorologist, Bob Harrigan, with the first alert forecast. Bob.
Yeah, I was at the game. It was beautiful out there on the warm side at times. Temperatures today, 80 degrees. That is the 11th day in a row we've had temperatures at 80 degrees or above. And the low this morning was warm too at 62. These numbers are all going to change on the weekend. We'll get closer to these numbers right here. In fact, we could even be a little bit below average on Saturday and Sunday. But boy, February has been a hot one, hasn't it? Temperatures have been soaring. The 90-degree reading on the 20th was our all-time record high for the month. It's the warmest it's ever been in the month of February. And then the average high is typically 74 degrees for the entire month. Well, so far we'll end this day at 82 degrees, so almost 10 degrees above average for the entire month, and 11 straight days of 80-plus temperatures in February to wrap things up. And we've had 5 days consecutive, that is, tying or setting record highs beginning on the 19th. Of February. Well, currently we have fair skies and 74 degrees. The dew point temperature is at 65, and the winds are out of the west-southwest at 6. So the pressure's still up there too, although it's a lot weaker than it has been. I don't think we'll see any records tomorrow, but we will see temperatures in the 80s once again to start the 1st of March off, and so it will be a warm start to March, but the long-range models are indicating that we are going to see a return to winter here for a couple of weeks at least. And no real threat of any significant rainfall with this front, but all that rain now well to our north, as you can see from the Titan radar picture there, showing a lot of rain up there. But we could use a little bit of rainfall to clean out the atmosphere of the pollen count that's very high.
Absolutely. How cold is cold?
Well, we're talking low 50s on Saturday and Sunday morning. It's a big chill from considering we've been near 90 degrees.
Right. Thanks a lot, Bob. Right. And still to come, how can politicians make the changes many are asking for when the NRA is giving them so much money? When we return.
Thanks to the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society, what was once impossible is happening today for thousands of patients with blood cancer.
I live.
I live. I live. I live.
I live.
She lives.
Because of the research done by the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society in the battle against blood cancer.
If you had a chance to support the research that is saving lives, what would you do?
Thousands of award-winning Honda SUVs are on sale from $189 a month during the Honda President's Day sales event. You've got to see these SUVs. Get a surprisingly spacious 2018 HR-V, $189 a month, or step up to Pilot for $289 a month with available seating for 8. Plus, we have Motor Trend's SUV of the Year, the 2018 CR-V, and Ridgeline, a car and driver's 10 best. All on sale for up to $38.05, less than the competition at your local Honda dealer.
Hi, I'm Chef Bob. Watch Aprons in the Kitchen every Wednesday morning on ABC7, where we'll be serving up the most awesome dishes. Then stop by your neighborhood Publix, pick up the recipe card and all the ingredients.
Are you a food lover, restaurant goer, or home cook? Then check out My Suncoast Dining on mysuncoast.com, your guide to the foodie lifestyle. ABC7's own Chef Judy serves up her favorite recipes, cooking tips and trends, dining blogs, and helpful step-by-step videos. And you'll love the restaurant guide with direct links to your favorite Suncoast eateries. Whether you're cooking in or dining out, whet your appetite with tasty tips from Chef Judy at mysuncoast.com/dining.
Many websites selling medication may look professional and legitimate, but the vast majority of sites selling prescription drugs are doing so illegally. Criminals use websites to sell counterfeit medications that may contain life-threatening toxins. Dot Pharmacy is a website verification program that helps you identify safe and trustworthy online pharmacies. Purchasing medicine online can be safe and easy. Just look for pharmacy to the right of the dot in website addresses.
Enjoy some of the best Suncoast restaurants on me. Just go to mysuncoast.com/dining, sign up for the newsletter if you haven't already, and you can win a $50 gift card to a restaurant in our area. We'll pick a winner each week, so go on our website and sign up now.
Every time it happens, we collectively ask, why can't we do anything to prevent these mass shootings? Sandy Hook, nothing. Pulse, nothing. Las Vegas, a church in Texas, nothing. And now Parkland, and as Dwayne Lindo reports, there's new attention on the role the NRA is playing in the gun control debate and how much influence it has with many legislators. Dwayne.
Well, Alan, at this point, the NRA continues to be a huge force in American politics. The group is responsible for a large share of contributions to lawmakers, money going disproportionately to Republicans, but according to some, it's all about appeasing the base.
Senator Rubio, can you tell me right now that you will not accept a single donation from the NRA in the future?
The question heard around the world. An emotional Stoneman Douglas student asking specific questions to Senator Marco Rubio during a town hall meeting last week. Rubio is Florida's top guy when it comes to accepting NRA contributions, receiving $9,900 during the 2016 election cycle, according to the Center of Responsive Politics. In fact, over his legislative career, Rubio has been the beneficiary of more than $3 million in campaign spending by the NRA, which places him 6th among the current members on Congress. Local attorney Jeff Young points out that lawmakers like Rubio receive money because the NRA is like any other lobbying group fighting for a cause.
They are an organization that has millions of members, and their members expect them to advocate for laws that are in support of and pro-Second Amendment.
The NRA has also spent more than $30 million supporting Donald Trump's campaign in the 2016 election. Young says with the majority of Republicans in the Senate and the House of Representatives in the state, Florida is now leaning pro-gun. And according to NRA attorney Ron Chapman, conservative politicians are drawing unfair criticism in the wake of the Parkland shooting.
They're using the tragedy of the latest shooting in order to attack the NRA. The first position, there is nothing the NRA does or stands for that contributes to, increases, or in any way adds to gun violence.
And in Florida, in the 2016 cycle, Republican Representative Tom Rooney receiving $1,000. Representative Ron DeSantis also receiving $1,000. Representative Gus Bilirakis receiving $2,000. And even Republican Brian Mast, who recently called for a temporary ban on AR-15 rifles, receiving $4,950. In a state where Republican lawmakers have pushed bills to make it easier to get guns, many are speculating that Florida legislators rely on money from the NRA. But Young says that's just not the case.
Despite what a lot of people say, the NRA doesn't spend a lot of money directly on politicians, either for their campaigns or directly to them. Most of the money is spent on advertising.
Beyond the money that they are giving to candidates, they may take out ads against a Democratic target or a primary target that's a Republican that voted for gun control legislation.
New College of Florida political professor Frank Alcock says the NRA is pretty effective at keeping the majority of elected Republican officials supporting their agenda.
Even elected officials that are Republicans that might be sympathetic to some changes, some reforms in terms of gun safety legislation, are loath to cross the NRA. They'll be put in the crosshairs.
Bottom line, according to pro-gun advocates, it's not just the money that gives the NRA influence, it's their base.
The lawmaker is there to represent the constituents. So if their constituents, from whatever their geographical area is pro-gun, pro-Second Amendment, then that legislator should do that.
What they really want to do is continue to be a politician. And the way you continue to be a politician is to get the votes. So when you're talking about maybe getting, you know, a $5,000 donation, which is the max in most places for your campaign, versus getting 5 million votes to continue to allow you to stay as a politician, I think they're always going to err on votes.
Now, the NRA also uses a grade for lawmakers supporting gun rights. Rubio received an A+ rating.
Dwayne, thanks a lot. Coming up, all sides, including a former member of Congress on the wrong side of a multi-million-dollar campaign by the NRA. We'll be right back.
There's a lot of fear in coming back to school. I'm a 40-year-old man that walked in there to get his high school diploma. It was very hard for me, but one of the teachers was Miss Araceli. She gave me direction. Every single time I had a question, she'll put down whatever she's doing and she'll sit there with you until you get it. 50% of getting your high school diploma is walking through those doors. The other 50% is doing the work.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org.
When my youngest, Addie, was 2.5, she was diagnosed with leukemia. When we first heard that diagnosis, you feel extremely alone. Walking in that Light the Night light with 6,000 people carrying lights, white for survivors, red for supporters, gold in memory of those who have passed. It's the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society's hope that every year there are fewer gold lanterns. Your lantern will make a difference.
Start a team, join a team.
Help us light the night.
The skills you develop as a soldier in the Army National Guard can give you a head start on your career. Gain practical experience with technology and equipment that will give you a leg up in the civilian world. Learn critical leadership skills and to be part of a team. Serve your community and your country part-time while earning money for an education. Visit NationalGuard.com to learn about the paid training and career opportunities available to you in the Army National Guard.
Want the latest weather and traffic conditions wherever you go? Introducing ABC7's revolutionary new First Alert weather app. With our state-of-the-art new weather app, you get up-to-the-minute weather alerts, interactive radar maps, current conditions, 10-day forecasts, real-time traffic maps, and weather video from ABC7, all at your fingertips. And it's free. Just search Suncoast WX in the App Store and download onto all your devices today. Sponsored by Mr. Sparky.
Why are we so paralyzed when it comes to doing anything about gun violence, specifically mass shootings? According to a new Quinnipiac poll, almost 70% of those asked want assault weapons banned. 70% want stricter gun laws in general. In contrast, 51% of those asked believe the NRA's policies are bad for the U.S. Only 38% say NRA policies are good for the U.S. So why no action? Check this out. The NRA contributed to 307 of the 535 current members of the U.S. Congress. 8 received over $1 million, including Florida's Marco Rubio. 39 received more than $100,000. $100,000. And joining us for more is Attorney Jeff Young, known locally as the gun lawyer, Susan Nylon of the ACLU, and joining us by Skype is former Florida Congressman Patrick Murphy. But Jeff, I'm going to start with you. That Quinnipiac poll just came out, and it seems overwhelming. If almost 70% of Americans want assault weapons banned, and that's a non-starter in Congress, let's say, is the Congress, perhaps because of the NRA issue backing, not doing what the vast majority of Americans want?
Well, I don't necessarily think it's because of the NRA backing. I think a lot of them actually do support the Second Amendment and don't feel that banning assault rifles is constitutional or would be an infringement on people's rights.
Let me stop you at constitutional. Okay. Because obviously in 2008, 2009, the U.S. Supreme Court affirmed the right of Americans to, individuals' right to bear arms. But Antonin Scalia also made a point of saying it does not mean you cannot restrict or regulate whatsoever any guns, including, weapons that, are military-style weapons.
Well, I don't necessarily believe everything that Anthony Scalia says. Just because he's a good conservative justice doesn't mean I agree with him. I think a lot of people disagree with that and feel that the Constitution says shall not be infringed, which by definition means any infringement because it says shall not. However, the issue is, if they don't believe that it's constitutional, or if they don't believe that it should pass because it is an infringement on people's rights, they're not going to vote for it, whether they think it's because of the NRA or it's their own personal feelings. So I understand that people can argue about constitutional whether you can ban it or not ban it. I think it's a non-starter because I think a lot of these politicians do not believe that you should punish law-abiding gun owners who have done nothing wrong because of what the actions of some non-law-abiding gun owners are done, and they just fundamentally think that that's wrong and they don't want to do it.
Okay, of course, all of this boiled to the surface right after Parkland, and also after a town meeting that was on CNN, which Marco Rubio went to, where he was confronted by one of the students at Parkland. Let's just take a quick brief look.
In the name of 17 people, you cannot ask the NRA to keep their money out of your campaign?
I think in the name of 17 people, I can pledge to you that I will support any law that will prevent a killer like this.
No, but I'm talking NRA money.
No.
Patrick Murphy, you were at the end of the NRA spending campaign when you ran against Marco Rubio for the U.S. Senate in 2016. When you look back at that town hall meeting and where Senator Rubio is or was then, what's your reaction?
Well, there's no doubt that the money is impacting votes. So I first want to push back a little bit on what Jeff just said there. To think that $5 million spent on behalf of Marco Rubio to defeat me in the Senate race didn't impact, and still to this day doesn't continue to impact his position, is ludicrous. Right? It's a whole different topic about the money and its impact in politics, but there's a direct correlation between the money the NRA spends and where people are at. It was nice that Senator Rubio showed up. That's his job. It's a town hall. He should do that. So I'm not going to give him too much credit for doing that. It was nice to see him move a little bit on some of these issues. However, he said he got back into the U.S. Senate race a year and a half ago after that Pulse nightclub shooting because he was so emotionally torn after that shooting. Yet not a single action was taken by him or his staff to do anything to prevent these tragedies from occurring. So, look, we've got to follow the money here. We need action. With all due respect to Jeff, to put the gun owners of a few people, and I have many friends that have these assault weapons, over the lives and safety of U.S. citizens and children that are being massacred, to me is ludicrous. This is a problem that we can solve. We cannot continue to put the NRA and these mass weapon manufacturers in front of the lives of Americans.
Susan, when we're talking about the NRA and money, you are with the ACLU, you're also a law student, and the Supreme Court has ruled that money is free speech.
Okay, yeah, but that doesn't mean that every elected official has to take that money or has to abide by what that outside interest has. I don't understand what the automatic correlation. Everybody has a right to speak, but that doesn't mean everybody needs to get the exact same reception. And I want to go back to what Jeff said. You can regulate something the government has the ability to do so as long as it's a legitimate government interest. And regulating guns has nothing to do with taking away the Second Amendment right. We at the ACLU appreciate the Second Amendment, but we also do it within reason and say that the government is within their right to regulate who should have it, who shouldn't, who deserves it, who doesn't.
All right, we are just getting warmed up. We'll have much more on the NRA and money right after we check the first alert weather, so stay with us.
This is an important announcement. If you're between 50 and 85 and worried about your loved ones, you can still get affordable life insurance for peace of mind.
My life insurance coverage is guaranteed, and I was not required to get a medical exam.
I had high blood pressure and diabetes, and I got my coverage with one telephone call. No exam necessary.
I'm a smoker, and I wanted to take care of my family. I called to get my life insurance and my affairs in order. I wanted to do the right thing.
Call Final Expense No Exam Insurance. Your rates are guaranteed and will never increase.
I called and learned that this insurance cannot be canceled even if you get sick or gain weight.
And there are no restrictions on how my beneficiaries use the money when I'm gone.
Approval was easy and the price was right. I wanted to do this for my children.
Call 800-738-9812. 800-738-9812.
My Hometown Fest is coming to Nathan Benderson Park Saturday, March 3rd. Join us for culinary favorites from across the U.S. paired with your favorite craft beers. There's also great live music and activities for adults and kids. Buy your tickets today at myhometownfest.org.
One of the motivating factors for me to become a Big Brother was that I was mentored as a youth. And it was important for me to kind of pass forward the things that were kind of given to me. It's really just as simple as getting to know a kid. You don't have to be an athlete. You don't have to be rich. You don't have to have any of those other things. You just have to be willing to spend a little time and help mold some young person's life.
I witnessed him have 2 heart attacks in ICU. He went through seizures.
We'd much rather have Aaron like this than dead. A lot of parents don't have that luxury.
He can't talk. He can't walk. This is a condition Aaron will live with for the rest of his life because he abused prescription pills.
Mind your meds. Learn more from the Partnership for Drug-Free Kids.
My first job was in sports, and I was so thrilled just to be working in this business. I simply love covering this area. It has been my home for more than 40 years, and now it's wonderful that I can raise my family here as well. I'm Scott Dennis, and I'm here for you.
Our conversation on the NRA and money continues right after we get a check on the first alert forecast with Chief Meteorologist Bob Harrigan.
ABC7 day out at the Orioles, Ed Smith Stadium, taking on the St. Louis Cardinals, and Dave Beachy, who watches this on a regular basis, also on the Facebook post as well. I want to stop by at our booth there. You see Jacqueline in the background. A lot of folks coming on by and saying hello. Tonight, Anna Traver getting this one here of the sunset. Just a gorgeous sunset tonight. People strolling along the beach, enjoying the fine, warm temperatures. Get ready for a big chill, though. Big chill, not much. Low 70s for highs, as opposed to low to mid 80s, it looks like, as we push into the weekend. Anna Maria showing calm conditions out there in Bimini Bay. Well, we have the east and west coast sea breeze meeting into central Florida, a summer-like pattern. We're not looking at much rainfall, but there may be an isolated shower or two developing in our interior counties, and maybe a few making its way toward the coast later on. But a lot of rainfall now into Tennessee, stretching all the way over to northern portions of Alabama and into Mississippi tonight. That's all associated with the developing storm system, which will eventually draw some colder air our way and give a relief to these 80, mid to upper 80 temperatures that we've been experiencing. March will come in like a lamb, pretty calm tomorrow. Cold front arrives on Friday morning. With it, a slight chance for a few showers. Not a lot of rainfall anticipated with this cold front. And you'll notice that most of the fronts that have pushed on through this winter have not been severe, and that's directly related to the fact that El Nino is not around this particular winter. And a cooler weekend ahead, though. Grab your sweaters and jackets if you have early tea time, both on Saturday and Sunday, because it'll be a bit chilly out there. Low 50s to start things off with a bit of a wind. Friday's forecast for pollen, 11.4. Today, 10.1. I know a lot of people complaining about it at the ball game today, and the major allergen now is juniper, which is a big-time irritant, and oak and that'll follow that. Current conditions, we have fair skies at 74, and the dew point temperature is at 65. That's still high. Winds are out of the west-southwest at 6. The pressure 30.07. Now that's high, but we've actually come down a little bit as a result of this front approaching. And 81 the high today, so 11 consecutive days we've had temperatures at 80 degrees or above. 71 for Jacksonville right now, 71 in Tallahassee, 77 in Key West, and 74 in Miami. And around town, temperatures in the low 70s right near the coast. The water temperature extremely warm for this time of year at 77. Same in Arcadia now at 77 degrees. The day planner looks good tomorrow. Temperatures into the upper 70s to near 80 degrees once again to start the 1st of March off. So not bad. Warm temperatures lasting for at least through Friday, and then the cool down begins Friday night, Saturday morning. For boaters tomorrow, and we'll start off at 5 to 10 knots, pick up to 15 knots in the afternoon and evening. Seas running right at 2 feet with a moderate chop out there. Water temperature now at 77 degrees. And the forecast for the next 7 days, well, there it is, that chance for rain late Thursday, early Friday at 30%. And then we'll clear out, turn a little bit cooler. In fact, mid-50s for lows on Saturday morning. And notice a stretch of days in the low 70s right through Wednesday of next week. Wednesday, pretty good chance of getting some rainfall as well. Alan will be right back after this.
Hi, I'm Chef Bob. Watch Aprons in the Kitchen every Wednesday morning on ABC7, where we'll be serving up the most awesome dishes. Then stop by your neighborhood Publix, pick up the recipe card and all the ingredients.
Soldiers in the Army National Guard live up to a set of time-honored principles.
I will always place the mission first.
They stand ready to respond to any crisis.
I will never accept defeat.
They serve in their communities as citizens and as soldiers.
I will never quit.
They train part-time to be ready to serve at all times.
I will never leave a fallen comrade.
Learn more at nationalguard.com.
My name is Luke Perry, and I am 1 million strong. I'm in the fight against colorectal cancer because I believe we can win it. Colon and rectal cancers are the second leading cause of cancer deaths among men and women in the U.S. Colon cancer is preventable. Know the risk factors and make sure to get screened. There are simple, take-home options available. Take control of your health. Screening for colon cancer isn't embarrassing. It can be life-saving. To find out more about your options, visit fightcrc.org.
Northland Outdoors is about so much more than the biggest fish or the hottest hunting spots. All across the Northland, there are amazing people with incredible stories to tell. We're going to find those stories and share them with everyone. Join us each and every week as we explore the Northland and experience some of the most exciting outdoor adventures in the country right here in our own backyard. This is Northland Outdoors.
Check out My Suncoast Dining on mysuncoast.com for Chef Judy's favorite recipes, cooking tips and trends, dining blogs, step-by-step videos, and Suncoast Restaurant Guide. You'll find it all at mysuncoast.com/dining.
Welcome back. We're talking about the NRA and money, and joining us for more is Attorney Jeff Young, known locally as the gun lawyer, Susan Nylon of the ACLU, and joining us by Skype is former Florida Congressman Patrick Murphy. Patrick, I don't know if you saw it today, but the president met with both Republicans and Democrats. It was an extraordinary session with basically both sides telling him what they think in terms of whether on law enforcement issues, education issues, but also raising the issue of doing away with assault weapons. In the final analysis, do you predict that Congress will do anything?
First, let me give credit where credit's due. I applaud the president for talking about a comprehensive approach to this problem, talking about raising the age, talking about mental health checks, putting few things into a bill and pushing back, saying he's not scared of the NRA. Hey, the words matter. We got to follow this up with action. That's where Congress comes in. I am not overly hopeful that they will do anything. Based on Senator Rubio's town hall, at the comments at the town hall, and based on what we've seen just here in Florida in our legislature, I'm not seeing a lot of courage by the Republicans in Congress or in Tallahassee to do anything. If we see something, I imagine it'll be a very small sort of incremental change around mental health, maybe school safety. At the end of the day, something is better than nothing, but I believe now is the moment where we need big changes. And if people don't get that, they are going to act. These students that we see right now that are energizing so many people across America are not going to stop.
Jeff, you know, at that town hall meeting that Senator Rubio was at and in other venues, the issue has been raised, as we were talking about, in terms of the impact of the NRA has on our legislators, not only just in terms of the money that they contribute, but the rating system. Are those, in your question, fair things for voters to take in mind if their candidate is taking money from the NRA, and whether or not they are rated A or C or whatever?
Well, look, I think the ratings are important because what you find is gun owners in general tend to be single-issue voters. It's the most important thing on their mind when they go to the voting booth. So if the NRA gives somebody an A+ rating, that is more important to them than how much money they donated to them or not. I mean, the NRA is a political action committee, a lobbying group, just like any other. So why shouldn't they be allowed to donate money to candidates to get them candidates that they think are going to vote in favor of them? I mean, Planned Parenthood does it, unions do it, everybody does it. The NRA doesn't even crack the top 50 in most donations and the top 500 in other types of donations. So they don't contribute as much money as people think that they do, but they are an advocacy group. They represent millions of Americans, so that's a powerful place to be.
Right. They represent, I believe there are something like 5 million members of the NRA, and as Senator Rubio said, is they have a voice and they are entitled to say exactly what they mean to say. Last week, there was the CPAC convention in Washington, D.C., and the NRA's national spokesperson took to the stage and said this.
Many in legacy media love mass shootings. You guys love it. Now, I'm not saying that you love the tragedy, but I am saying that you love the ratings. Crying white mothers are ratings gold to you and many in the legacy media in the back.
How do millions of Americans who don't agree with that believe anything the NRA says when the national spokesman for the NRA basically vomits on national television? And that's exactly what that was.
Well, look, I don't represent the NRA. I'm not here to approve of everything that they say or everything that they do. I think there probably is somewhat of a truth, not necessarily that they enjoy those things, but certainly the ratings and stuff go up.
No, but
okay.
Hold on one second. I don't know an anchor, reporter, producer at any news organization or anywhere that enjoys mass shootings.
Okay. Well, I don't know any law-abiding gun owner that enjoys mass shootings, but that doesn't stop people from telling us, as Mr. Murphy just did, that I care about my guns more than I care about children. It doesn't stop them from telling the NRA that they have blood on their hands. It doesn't stop them from yelling at Dana LaRoche at that CNN town hall meeting, calling her a murderer and saying they should burn her on her way out the door. So the rhetoric on both sides is ridiculous when it comes to this issue. I agree with that. I wouldn't have said what she just said, but to claim that there aren't people out there that probably enjoy the sensationalism of it just is ridiculous. Just to claim that there are gun owners out there who enjoy children being slaughtered because they don't want to give up their guns. People should stop saying that on every side.
Susan, is that the problem here, is that the rhetoric on both sides have gotten so overheated that we can't listen to what each other are saying?
I don't think it's significant to this time period or this topic. I mean, the rhetoric in general is just out of hand on almost every topic. But you can look through our history and say we've always had a difficult time communicating. It just so happens that this topic is incredibly passionate. It hits a lot of people, and it's incredibly concerning, and it doesn't go away. I don't think it matters. For Jeff to say he's not here representing the NRA, every time that somebody gives money, their annual dues to the NRA, they're representing them. They're telling them exactly what it is that they want them to do. Every time a politician sits down with a lobbyist from the NRA and gives them the opportunity to talk and help influence the law, it's in support of it. Is it out of touch with what the majority of people want? I would say so, but
You know, we did want to ask a number of local legislators in terms of whether they will continue to take NRA money, especially after the Parkland shooting. Let's show a little graphic here. Greg Stubbe, who is now running for Congress, said, "I would take money from any organization that supports the Second Amendment and our right to keep and bear arms." Joe Gruters, who is a state representative, says, "I would take money from anyone who thought I was worthy of representing our area, and that would include the pro-Second Amendment and gun advocates." We asked Julio Gonzalez, who is looking to possibly running for Congress to replace Tom Rooney, but we did not get any response. Vern Buchanan, also no response from him. Patrick Murphy, what's your reaction to that?
Of course, they're going to continue to take money from the NRA, and the only thing that's going to change, or could change this debate, is if people start showing up to vote. If people show up to vote and we are activating a new group of people like we're seeing right now, things will change quickly because politicians will lose their job. But right now, you see a certain amount of complacency. And in the earlier segment, it was discussed that the NRA isn't just money, it's votes. You look at the NRA membership, and their voting percentage is much higher than everyday Americans. So politicians know that, and they're going to recognize and see who's going to show up to support them. So it's going to take an election cycle or two. And beyond just that NRA movement, this gun debate, we should be looking at how do you broaden the voting base? Such things as primaries that are so dictated by these gerrymandered districts. Let's have a discussion about opening up the primaries to allow independents to vote. 1/3 of Floridians basically can't even vote in primaries. Let's give them a voice too, and you'll see this conversation change real quick.
You know, Jeff, we saw some interesting things in the recent special election for House 72, where there was a significant number of Republican women who crossed over and didn't vote for the Republican candidate and voted for the Democrat. Would you be concerned that there is that kind of crossover these days, and that the NRA and supporters of the Second Amendment have to be at least aware of what seems to be shifting public sentiment on some of these issues?
Well, I think, you look at all these special elections, they're all different, and is there a switchover? Yeah, I mean, there could be a blue wave coming. It happens every time there's one of these cycles, but I think the issue with the NRA is they are a lobbying group that lobbies for a specific point of view, which is a pro-Second Amendment point of view, and their members lobby that way as well. And their members may only be 5 million, but there are millions of other gun owners out there that support the NRA. They just don't pay the dues every year to be counted as one of the 5 million people. And as Patrick said, those people vote. They come out in droves, and they are generally single-issue voters. So I think if you have a Republican that's going to go soft on guns, I think they're in more jeopardy of losing their seat than a Republican who just goes soft on things to try and get women voters or whatever to cross over. I think it happens all the time.
You know, there's a fascinating article in New Yorker magazine about the NRA's influence on Florida politics, and they point out Ray Pilon, the former state representative who is now running again for his old seat. He crossed Marion Hammer, the lobbyist for the NRA in Tallahassee, over his version of an amendment. And his rating went from A to C at the time he was running against Greg Stubbe for the state Senate, and he believes that may have sunk his campaign.
Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, there were 5 legitimate Republican candidates running for the same seat that all had a lot to contribute. So I don't think the NRA rating was enough. I do agree with Jeff, though. The NRA rating is incredibly important to gun owners. What I object to is the idea that regulating a gun is an infringement upon the Second Amendment. I think we need to get away from that. We've regulated guns before. We regulate almost everything that we do in the United States, whether it's drinking, whether it's marijuana, whether it's driving, and so forth and so on. And just because you want better gun laws doesn't mean that you don't support the Second Amendment.
Okay, we have to take a quick break, and we'll be back for final thoughts in a moment. Stay with us.
Designers do it with style.
Tell me what's going on here.
Why, you don't like my hair?
The Mark and Mandy Show. In-depth design ideas.
What is up with the tuck tape here? Let's cover it up.
Amazing beauty and fashion tips.
So Halle Berry has amazing skin. Her secret is coffee grounds.
No.
Delicious recipes.
Today, I'm going to show you a special dish that is sure to please that special someone in your life.
Watch The Mark and Mandy Show right here on your favorite channel.
My life motto is keep moving. And as hard as it was when my husband passed away, I knew I had to keep doing what I love. Oops, coming. But I needed help with my insurance, and that's what the NAIC provides. They have resources to help you and your family make the best decision, and they'll help you to keep moving forward, just like me.
I'm Anne. I'm a scientist. Recycling takes a team. Why don't you let me and me help you out? Everyone plays a part. Don't trash I love taking stuff apart and building new things out of it. what could be treasure. Pal's my most advanced android. This is awesome. You haven't seen anything yet. Give your cardboard box another life. Recycle.
Performing on stage takes mental and physical preparation. But one thing I never thought to prepare for was cervical cancer. 91% of cervical cancers are caused by the human papillomavirus, or HPV. The good news is there are vaccines that can protect you or your children from cancer. I survived my cancer, but you can stop cancer before it starts. Talk to your doctor and go to thinkaboutthelink.org to learn more.
Check out My Suncoast Dining on mysuncoast.com, your guide to the foodie lifestyle. ABC7's own Chef Judy serves up her favorite recipes, cooking tips and trends, dining blogs, step-by-step videos, and Suncoast Restaurant Guide. You'll find it all at mysuncoast.com/dining.
And our guests join us right now for final thoughts. And Patrick, I'm going to ask you a specific question responding to something that Jeff said, that pro-Second Amendment voters are really dedicated. In many cases, they are single-issue voters. And the slice of people who may not agree with that, even if they're Republican, moderate, or liberal, or whatever, that will vote on this one issue is just not the same. So is that an obstacle that, in your opinion, people who want to do something in terms of the gun issue itself has to overcome?
No doubt about that. That's true. And Democrats have those single-issue voters on issues as well, whether that's unions or choice and marriage equality, et cetera. So both sides have these issues, which you could say is one of the factors leading to the breakdown in our democracy.
Jeff, in terms of wrapping this up, and in terms of putting into context the questions about rating, NRA ratings to candidates, and also the money received, what do you want folks to know?
Look, I think the issue is that the NRA has become an easy scapegoat villain when things happen. The NRA represents millions of law-abiding citizens, okay? We're not felons, we're not out there misusing our guns, we're everyday average Americans, and we belong to the NRA because they support what we support. And trashing them and saying they care more about their guns than they do children, or saying they have blood on their hands, it's not going to bring us to the table to have any sort of conversation to get anything done.
But Susan, let me ask you this. I saw Bill Galvano on TV the other day talking about the desire to approach this problem in a holistic sort of way. Holistic means whole. And if you're not talking about one part of the equation, which is the availability of these weapons, then what do you mean by holistic?
Well, I don't know what he means by holistic, but I do have a sense that it's a multi-level solution to this problem. Putting guns in schools with teachers is not going to solve anything. In fact, it's going to create a worse situation than it is. But if you recognize that the teachers do have problems in how they handle situations like this, we need to support them. We need to understand, too, that you're right, Jeff. I have plenty of family members who are law-abiding citizens who love their guns as well. However, they do not oppose to regulation because they don't feel that everybody should have it. We need to look at the whole picture, absolutely, but we got to start somewhere, and why not regulate them?
Okay, I want to thank all our guests for being here tonight. Attorney Jeff Young, known locally as the gun lawyer, Susan Nylon of the ACLU, and joining us by Skype, former Florida Congressman Patrick Murphy. We'll have to take a quick break, but stay with us.
Ever since I can remember, I've been intrigued by industrial design and the optimization.
Wait, that's passion? Ever since I can remember, my passion has been industrial design. We need 3D printers for Miss Adams' engineering program so that we are ready to solve 21st century challenges.
Impressive. Think It Up is a new initiative to support student-powered, teacher-led learning projects. Students and teachers, how can you spark great learning experiences in your classroom today? Think it up.
Hamilton was adopted from a rescue in 2008. He really likes to be around people. And as soon as I start to make my breakfast, Hamilton is right there. I get out my mat and I'm doing a downward dog and he's underneath. He's quite the pug about town. He gets invited to a lot of parties. He knows he's a pretty big deal. I mean, look at this little face. How could you not love him?
So I kind of grew up all across the country. I come from 5 generations of military men. My dad is still active duty. My grandpa is retired Marines. I like going for runs with my dog. I love, taking her out to the dog beach over in Venice. There are so many things here to do on the Suncoast. My goal every day when I come into work at ABC7 is to tell your stories, give you that major local news and those details that you really care about. I'm Jacqueline Matter and I'm here for you.
Zupan, part of the U.S. Paralympic rugby team. In my game, movement is everything. I get frustrated when my move is blocked, especially when that guy has no right to be there, even just for a minute. I love a challenge, but I don't like to play this game every day.
A message from the United Spinal Association.
Welcome back. We want to share with you what some of you had to say about last night's show on a possible Democratic blue wave next fall. Ever since President Trump entered office a year ago, Democrats have been winning a lot of elections, including here on the Suncoast, where Democrat Margaret Good beat Republican James Buchanan for the vacant seat in House District 72. We went to Facebook to hear your thoughts, and Brittany says, "Purple state, turning blue. I hope so." The younger generation is starting to stay in Sarasota and Florida and want to see change. Leanna says those wishing for socialism, sanctuary cities, and for illegals and crime take away from our constitutional rights, government controlling our lives, really? You had better educate yourself on what you are supporting. And Isaac says both parties are currently a major joke and an insult to the American people. Well, if you'd like to join the conversation on tonight's topic, and I suspect some of you might, just go to our Facebook page at facebook.com/mysuncoast.com.abc7. And FYI, you can watch past discussions on demand. They're available on Apple TV, Amazon Fire, and Roku. And for the latest on local breaking news, don't forget to download the updated version of our app. If your current app doesn't work, it's expired. Just go to the App Store and re-download it by searching for WWSB or My Suncoast. When we come back, President Trump met with lawmakers today on what they think should be done in terms of guns and gun control. Stay with us.
Hi, I'm Chef Bob. Watch Aprons in the Kitchen every Wednesday morning on ABC7, where we'll be serving up the most awesome dishes. Then stop by your neighborhood Publix, pick up the recipe card and all the ingredients.
Florida Studio Theater presents Native Gardens. Stately gardens and cultures clash, turning friendly neighbors into feuding adversaries. When a disagreement over a long-standing fence spirals into an all-out comedic battle of taste, privilege, and entitlement, no one comes out smelling like a rose. Critics are calling Native Gardens timeless as well as timely, smart and first-rate. Audience are calling it one of the best. Native Gardens is now playing. Tickets can be purchased by calling 941-366-9000 or by visiting floridastudiotheater.org.
Looking for something fun to do on a Friday night? Then come to Music on Main, the first Friday of every month at Lakewood Ranch. Enjoy free live music, dancing, great food, and lots of fun for every family member, even the furry ones. Meet up with friends, enjoy activities for the kids, or make it a special date night. And be sure to stop by the ABC7 booth and say hello. Mark your calendars for Music on Main, first Friday of the month, 6 to 9 at Lakewood Ranch. Brought to you by ABC7 and these sponsors.
Thank you. Bye. Have a good night. Be safe.
What are you doing? You are the best protection she has. Buddy up. I'm Jill Harrington. Please visit helpsavethenextgirl.com and get involved.
All hands on deck. What's up? I want to point out 3 tips for using the home computer more safely. Point away.
First, stop. Make sure your software is up to date and that you've password protected your computer's login and Wi-Fi connection.
Next, think before visiting a site, opening attachments, or clicking on links.
Then connect, knowing you're helping make the web safer for you
and for everyone. Make Stop, Think, Connect part of your daily online routine.
Here's today's job of the day. ABC7 is seeking a news editor with a nonlinear editing background and experience with breaking news and live shots. Visit mysuncoast.com/job of the day to apply.
Checking primetime headlines, is President Trump backing away from one of the gun measures he signaled support for in the wake of the Parkland shootings? ABC's Karen Travers is at the White House and has the details.
President Trump sat down with a group of bipartisan lawmakers to talk about guns and school safety. Another listening session, a lot of talking, but no indication that something substantial is going to get done. President Trump pushing lawmakers to take action.
It's time. We got to stop this nonsense.
He called for bipartisanship, lawmakers rallying behind one bill, not the array of measures that have been floating on Capitol Hill. The White House is expected to release an outline of policy proposals related to school safety by the end of the week. It will call for empowering highly trained teachers to carry concealed weapons, improving the national background check system, establishing a federal task force to address school safety, and implementing the Troops to Education program to help employ military veterans become teachers. But it's not clear that it will include any language about raising the minimum age to purchase a weapon. An administration official said an original draft did not address this issue, but the president may be insisting it's included. Mr. Trump has really zeroed in on this following the Parkland, Florida shooting.
They're allowed to buy them at 18. So how does that make sense? How does that make sense? So I say that it should all be at 21.
But the NRA is firmly opposed to any age increase, saying it infringes on the constitutional rights of law-abiding 18 through 20-year-olds. The White House says it needs to see legislation on raising the minimum age to purchase a weapon before going forward. But right now, there's no indication that Republican leadership is going to take that up or even move forward on any measure unless the president signals he's backing it. Karen Travers, ABC News, the White House.
President Trump sure has a hard time hanging on to communications directors. White House Communications Director Hope Hicks, who has been with the president since the beginning of his campaign, is resigning. The White House says the exact date of her departure is unclear, but will likely be in a couple of weeks. In the statement, Hicks writes, "There are no words to express her gratitude to Trump." Trump released a statement of his own saying Hicks approached him and, quote, about pursuing other opportunities. The announcement comes one day after Hicks testified behind closed doors before the House Intelligence Committee. And that's all the time we have for this evening. I'm Alan Cohn. Thanks for joining us and have a good night.